Good evening. Another Monday night. Another Monday night. Bees all day. How's everybody tonight? Really, really nice weekend. Great weather. Great weather today. Hello, Kimberly, Clay, Mike, Pennsylvania, Keith, Dustin. You're a new one in here. I haven't seen you in here before. Let's see who else we got in here. Rodney, hello. How are you? So we got a couple of us in here right now. Jeremy, good evening. So, who was in their bees this weekend? I'm sure Clay was in his. So, how are they doing? Fall's quickly approaching. If it's not here already, it will soon be here in the mid-Atlantic states. Hey, Darren, how are you tonight? So, excuse me. Yeah, it was really good weather this weekend. In the bees, put some feeders in. Um, so it was really good. We've got some big things happening at the store with the apiary, so it's going to get interesting soon. So you did help Mary today. What'd you do at Mary's today, Clay? Did she finish pulling all her honey? So yeah, the wife was in the bees on Sunday. Yep. So it's been a good weekend. The weather tonight, right now, it's 65 degrees and mostly clear. And the rest of the week, they're calling for it to be good. Nice, cool weather. So if you plan on using Formic Pro, now's the time to use it here in the mid-Atlantic states. Hey, Roy. Good evening. How are you? So it's beekeeping weather's back. Yep, it's back. So I'm glad to see everybody in here tonight so far. So Flower Street, how are you, Brian? Oh, you're in Florida. You on vacation? Or are you just down there visiting? Was it your car, Mike, or was it somebody else's? They must have had something in that car that they wanted to be able to go in there and do that. To to cover a car. Yours. What'd you have in the car, Mike? Hey, Todd. 106 this morning, today, right now. Oh, it's 5 o'clock in the afternoon there. So yeah, it's yep. That's not beekeeping weather for you, is it, Todd? Yeah. Hmm. Danny, how are you tonight? Oh, I'm sorry to hear about the health issues, Brian. Really am. So, mm. So what's about weather been in Pennsylvania today, Darren? Has it been cool up there? Chicken for supper. Hey, can't beat that, Todd. There's the man, the myth, the legend,
Yeah,
Mr.
right.
Charlie Sawmill. Sawmill Charlie. How are you tonight?
A little tired. Been in a hayfield for the last 3 days.
Square baling?
Round baling.
Round baling?
Tedded 25 acres Saturday afternoon and round baled that same field yesterday and the day. So we wound up with 144 round bales, I think it was. So they're been all put away yesterday or this morning and this afternoon.
Yep.
Hey, Brian, Keith. Rocky Acres put Formic Pro on today. Well, it's good weather here if it's the same as yours.
It's the right
Hey, Todd.
The right window for it.
So nice weather for it, perfect weather for it.
Yep.
The gal that I was mentoring, or not, mom will say mentoring, I went down and observed what she had to work with. She put Formic on a couple days ago, I think she said.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Keith.
Pennsylvania wants to know what you sell your round bales for now.
Well, if it's good quality horse hay, about $75 a round bale. If it's cow hay, I think it's 55. It's my son takes care of all that. He's his hay. He's the hay man, and it's his business.
Yeah. Hey, Highland. Hey, Grammy. How are y'all tonight?
Hey, Lisa. But anyway, got to Ted with the new tedder. I was able to actually we transported it from the one field, the 25 acre field, to the next farm we're doing tomorrow. And I was able to push the levers and push the buttons in order to learn how to fold it out and all that stuff. It's a little different. It's got a button. It's a, what do you call it? A hydraulic switch valve, I guess you would saw it. It's on, actually the valve was on the tedder itself. So it's, first thing is it lowers it down off the transport wheels, and those baskets fold kind of backwards, like they're kind of leaning forward like a set of sprayer booms, and they lean back and they sit down on the first two center. You set it down on those two center wheels, tires, and then but you keep your transport wheels down, so you got four wheels sitting on the ground as a base. And then you hit your button, and then you hit the same hydraulic lever. It transfers the hydraulic to the boom hydraulic arms, and it folds it out. And once you get it folded out, then you release the button and stop the pulling the lever, and then release the button and pull the lever again, and then it raises the transport wheels up off the ground. So that's a process, but it's like everything's got their own little idiosyncrasies. Like there's on the old one there, I used to have to pull a rope that pulled these bars out, that there was a pin that stuck in it. It was
there was a lock on it.
It's a safety lock on it. Well, this one here, it's got ropes, but they're pulled by the machine, the way it's folding and everything. And it wouldn't fold out. Well, then you have to, you might say, push the hydraulics to make it come in tighter, so those bars will slip out of that pin.
Yeah.
And then you then your eyes pick up on that on the next time. Well, there's the pin. Is it out of the hole? Yes. Then it's going to fold.
So DC, what's your idea?
Who's Harris?
I don't know. What's your idea, DC? Fume boards are good, as long as you don't overdo it with the scent that's put on them.
Probably using the skateboards.
I ordered some skateboards. So I figured tonight we would continue with our kind of ongoing discussion for fall care and feeding and treatments and all that stuff tonight.
Yeah. Now back to DC. If he's thinking about using a skateboard, listening to what Brad up in Manitoba says, you have to have a slight flow on. So the bees want to go back down to go out and get honey and stuff. And if you don't have that, they don't work as well.
Yeah.
Hey, Kathy.
DC, do you still have a flow going on out there?
Why couldn't you run a double excluder? Then when you want to pull honey, use your hive tool. Oh, I guess what he's saying is put the bars over the bar.
Yeah, so it excludes the bees as well.
I don't know whether that would work or not.
I don't know.
I guess what I'm saying is you have to be mighty exact on something like that.
Yeah. Because it could either be really great or it could be a really bad idea.
The gal that works your booth,
Judith.
What town does she live in?
Elkton.
Okay, that guy that I watched that farms, he lives in Elkton too.
Elkton, Virginia?
Yep.
Okay.
His name is Skyline Acres.
Okay.
His name is Ryan. He's got a little farmette, I guess. Well, it's pretty good size hay field from the videos.
Yeah.
I think he round baled about 50 round bales over the weekend and all that. That's where he said, that's where he's based out of.
DC, it might, that because they're going to leave, the foragers are going to leave to go get that food. So yeah, it might do that. Do what you're thinking to go down through the bee escape. Hey, Matthew, how are you tonight?
Hey, Matt.
But you got to be careful with that, DC. You really do with that open feeding, because you could start something you don't want.
I don't know. I mean, when it comes, I use a fume board and a small Milwaukee leaf blower.
Yeah.
Hey, Judith.
Hey, Judith.
And,
Hello, James.
this year was tough because there was a dearth on and everybody was a robin.
Yep.
And you could hardly get them to go out of those. So, I mean, you could get them to go down with the fume board, but the ones that were straggling, you could barely get them to come out.
Yep.
And that's what I've been doing for, years per se. And it works for me. I mean, the fume or the escape boards, if you got a hive lifter, it's fine, because then you got to lift all the hives. If you don't, you got to lift every one of them off, put the escape on and put them all back on, and then come back, 2 or 3 days later or something like that?
Yep.
That's like double the work.
Yeah, it's a process.
Huh?
It's a process.
Whereas fume board, I go in, I'll have 4 fume boards, put them on all 4 hives. By the time I get done with the last one, go back to the first hive, it's been, let's say, hopefully you kind of give them 5 or 10 minutes. And if there's a little bit of a flow on, you won't have the robbing problem. And you just pull that super up, blow the bees out, have an upside down telly cover, put the box of honey on there, slap another cover on top, keep the bees out.
Yeah.
and then just go down the line and do that. By the time you get one done, it'll be 10 minutes. By the time you get back to the other one,
Yep.
to the fourth hive and all that. And I bought a skateboard way back when I first started, never used it. I figured out after buying it, was like, oh, I don't want this thing. I want a fume board.
Yeah. So DC, it's not a bad idea to, if you get an idea, bump it off with somebody, see what they say. It's not bad to share your ideas. I'll say that. Brian's at the beach from Flower Street.
Brian, are you out in New Jersey?
No, he's in Florida.
Oh, Florida?
Yeah.
I know you stopped by someplace. Was it Tom and Melissa's?
I think so.
I guess that's on the way.
There you go, Darren. Fume board and a really strong blower. It works great.
That's exactly what I do, Darren. And that's exactly what happened to me. I bought one fume board and finally pawned it off to somebody else.
You mean a skateboard?
Big skateboard.
How much honey did you get out of them, James? It looks like everybody had a fall flow or a late flow this year. They're still extracting honey.
I mean, the farther west you go, seems like they start or they finish up later than what we do.
Yeah, they're later extracting than we are.
So anyway, that's what I've been doing out in the hayfield. Let's see. I guess last week I square baled Tuesday, Wednesday I round baled, and then we've been round baling Sunday and Monday, and I'll be round baling tomorrow. And then the next cut will probably be at my brother's place. I think we're gonna square bale the pasture fields, and there's a junky front field that I don't know. He sprayed it, but Jimmy sprayed it, and he was talking about the drought conditions and the hot weather. The grass, I think the orchard grass just kind of fizzled out.
Yeah,
and all that. So he's thinking about getting his friend that he works with farming, come in there and subsoil it and plant some beans in it, and then no-till it in the grass again. It seemed like we're getting a lot more warmer weather to maybe buy grasses that okay, he organized a CSBA, that'd be a Colorado State Beekeepers Association field trip to Corey Stevens' place to learn harbor assay.
And help him gather data.
Had breakfast with Tom and Melissa on the way home Thursday. Okay, so that's what that was. James got 48 pounds.
Yeah. That's a good one for just 8 frames, 4 8-frame honey. 4 8-frame boxes.
And then he flew to Florida.
Yeah. It's an unplanned trip. He's down there with
I know that people were responding to you, Brian. Did somebody pass away that I must have missed? Was it one of your family members or her family members? So that's what I've been doing. A Saturday.
Father-in-law is sick.
Okay. Seen some comments. I didn't know what was going on.
Yeah.
I did get out in the hives Saturday, right at lunchtime before I went to Ted. Checked them all the ones that had quart jars on them. They were dry. And let's see, Todd spun 300 pounds out so far.
Hey, 300 pounds is better than none at all, right? There's Mr. JW.
Yep. So anyway, I had about 5 or 6 hives that needed quart jars. I think there's 5 of them out there, and I refilled them. And it's only been Saturday. Yeah, they must have sucked it down within about 2 days or so. That quart jar.
Yeah,
They were the ones that were on the drier side that needed something.
Yeah. Yeah, we put feeders in everybody this weekend. We put feeders in everybody this weekend, and I'm gonna tell you what, the bees they are busting at the seams again this year for the fall.
Mm-hmm.
So they've been doing really well all summer. I'm kind of pleased with them this year. So
I got yellow pollen coming in now. Benny said that was wing stem, but I don't know whether it's that or maybe it's goldenrod for me. I don't know. I'm not sure what wing stem looks like. But and then I went back to my nukes and I hit them again with 15 grams of Apricard. And I figured that'll be enough for them. And then I went ahead and hit the other 2 10 framers with 50 grams. And a little bit should have waited, but I'm like, I don't know. My question is this. They say you give them 50 grams and then you don't give them another 50 grams for 2 weeks. And I'm like, okay, well, then what's the difference if I do 35 consecutive weeks, 35, 35, 30?
same dosage.
Now, what I'm getting at is you're making a smaller dose, but you're spreading it across 3 weeks. If you're making a 50 gram and you come back the next week and they licked it clean and give them another 50 grams, I don't see where the difference is.
Excuse me.
You all right, JW?
50 grams.
Huh?
Well, I just put on, it'll be 2 weeks tomorrow. I put on 50 grams to 48 different hives.
Mm-hmm.
And I was in them Tom and Matt was out here last Tuesday.
Right.
We'll go tomorrow. And the ones that we lifted just to check, every card was slick. It was awesome. I'd put it on I think Thursday. I was out here on the following Tuesday, Wednesday or Thursday. And it was 5 days, whatever it was, and they were all slick. Everyone we looked at, didn't look at all 48 of them, but everyone we looked at, the card was slick. They'd cleaned it off. And I'm going to put 50 more on tomorrow. Tomorrow will be 2 weeks. I'm going to put another 50 grams on. Apricard.
Yeah. And you've got the weather coming out there to be able to do that 50 grams too.
Yeah, it's supposed to be highs in the 70s, low 80s at the highest.
Yeah.
It's 73 here right now.
Yeah, it's 63 here.
It's 63 here too.
It's 53 out there, you say? Both places? 53?
Yeah, mine's 63.
Yeah, 63 degrees here.
Oh, 63. Okay.
Yep.
I'm showing 73 right now.
Yeah, we had the heat kick on last night here. It was down to 40s.
We had 2 or 3 days of that here in the last week. A couple of 40-degree nights in the
Yeah.
40s, not 40-degree nights, but in the 40s. I just finished up my last little honey pull and finished cleaning up and putting my supers away. I let the bees clean them out, and I use the crystals, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and I stack them 10 high. I put them every. I had crystals on the plate, put a spacer in every three boxes, every three supers. I put a, and I'll go check them in about 4 or 5 days. Because it's real hot weather, I keep all my honey in storage containers, or all my supers and stuff. I store them all in storage containers. It gets pretty hot in there in the summertime because they're sitting out in full sun also. So, but anyway, I ended up with 1,880 pounds. I pulled 1220 and 660. This last little pull I made. I'm done.
Well,
I've
hey,
pulled more honey for at least a year.
yeah, JW, 1,800 pounds, nothing to sneeze at, buddy.
Well, that's a little less than I usually run just about, I think last year was like 22.
Yeah.
So I was down some this year, but we had a lot of tough weather there early in the year, a lot of rain and cold and back and forth, cold and hot.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad to be done. I hate it. I had me and my two helpers. I tell people me and my two helpers extracted all of it. Me and my helpers, myself and I. That gets you with my simple harmony. I want you to know it, Alville. I'm not liking it, but that's all. I'm not giving $7,000 for a uncapper either. Unless I can come up with a cheapie of some kind, I'm not going that route.
Yep, I don't blame you. Stretch those dollars, right?
Yeah, it is.
JW, Todd wants the winning lottery numbers for tonight.
I see him. He's not near as lucky as I am. I could go buy one ticket. I'd probably win it first. I've never bought a lottery ticket in my life. My wife buys one a week when it gets. I think Todd just said it was over $1 billion.
Yep.
That's more money than I'm making a month.
Yep. If you take the lump sum payout, you walk away with less than half of it.
Well, that's okay too. I guess. That's the least of my concerns. I don't.
Yeah.
Money don't make you happy.
M&J wants to know, can you OAV in the evening? Yeah, you can do that.
Yeah, you can OAV in the evening.
Now, when you say evening, is it dark or is it still kind of white? I guess you might say light out just before dark. What do we got there?
Will?
Looks like a peach.
That's what it looks like.
Apricot or nectarine.
Ah.
Isn't it best to do it in the evening when more bees are back in the hive?
Late evening or early in the morning before they go out.
Or in the winter when it's 45 degrees.
Yeah, or when it's 45 degrees or below out. Yeah, they're all in the hive then, that's for sure. And they don't like to come out to defend the hive at that point either.
I got them all closed in when I do that. I keep all the vapor inside and keep the bees inside. I used to do it at 48 degrees, but by the time you got down to the end of the row, temperatures might fluctuate an extra degree or two. and bees are starting to, go out and hang out.
Yep.
And then it's hard to, try to put your entrance street blocker in without messing with bees and pushing them out of the way and stuff like that.
Yep.
And I do it, like you say, the winter months when there's less and less brood, and I get a better kill.
Yep.
So what else did we want to talk about? Mite treatments or whatever it was, or what?
Fall feeding. I read an article today or listened to a video today that Man Lake put out about don't overfeed your bees.
I seen that video, but I didn't take time to look at it.
It wasn't worth watching. To be very honest with you, it was
Well,
a waste of time.
This is my personal experience. Several years ago, I put the top high feeders on.
Mhm.
And I really didn't watch the amount of feed that I was feeding them. And I kind of got it in that, you got to feed them now. You got the dearth on and all this kind of stuff. And we
Yeah.
had a dearth at the time, and it was hot. So they were, they were looking for food. Well, I threw the food to them, the sugar water to them. And I filled the nest up, and then they swarmed. I had one or two swarms because of that. So now, with a little more experience and all, I check out individual highs to see, you can what do you call it?
Yep.
Hep them.
Yep.
That kind of gives you a quick idea.
Yep.
And, or like for me, I got a triple medium hive. So the top box is my honey box. You can either look or you just crack the box up, and if it's like light as a feather, there's nothing in there.
Right.
And I also like to look at the brood, the open brood. Is the larvae swimming in jelly, royal jelly, or is it kind of dry looking, where there's just, let's say, a recently hatched larvae or egg that's several day old larvae, and it's only in just a minimal spot of jelly. Well, that means they have lack of food sources coming in.
Yeah.
So that's where, like, now I got 25 hives sitting out there right now, nukes and 10 framers. And out of them, I had 6. Now I think there's only 5 jars out there that I think each one of them is on their 3rd quart. So I look at it this way. Give them about 3 quarts to a gallon, 4 quarts tops. And then there should be enough just to kind of get them through to where I will put the top high feeders on here, let's say mid-September, in the next 3 weeks or so.
Yep.
And then I'll throw the regular sugar water to them at that time, and all that. But you gotta have that balance of too much. You'll fill up the brood chamber with nectar, and here they go swarming because the queen can't lay.
Yep.
And that's what, and that brings up another topic. I'll have quote: the queen can't lay. And what did she do? She swarmed.
Mm-hmm.
So remember that, everybody. That's something that I finally keyed in on, especially at honey season. That's why I do that Roland Demery. If you keep the queen with space so she can lay, she won't swarm.
Yep.
That's the key factor of swarming. That's why I go in there and bring that cat brood up and give her a fresh open comb to lay in. And I don't have any swarming problems when everybody else is in swarm season. And also it increases your honey production that way.
Yeah.
By the means of increasing your workforce.
Yep.
And all that. So everybody talks about what are you going to do for swarming? I'm like, just take the brood out. That's all.
Yeah. Use your brood to
If we
boost
can
up
get
the
it, if
weaker
we can
hive.
get it to where I don't have to do it on a weekly basis. I know some people do it in the springtime where they're pulling their old queen out along with a nuke and making a nuke and selling that, and then putting a new queen in with maybe either undrawn or drawn comb and that alleviates that swarming pulse for the next 3 or 4 weeks, I guess,
Yeah. Till she gets all those frames laid up.
till she gets them all laid up. And she's really young, and she'll lay them up quick.
Yep.
So what's happening, Will? Did you get out in the bees again today and keep feeding and treating? She
He's
must have
frozen.
Locked up, Will. You can hear us.
You're frozen, Will.
That's probably why he popped out the last time.
Mhm.
Yeah. Now you're
Now-
back.
Can you hear us, Will?
Will. He's frozen.
No, he's not. Not now.
No, he's not frozen.
I don't think he can hear.
I don't think he can either. Turn your volume up, Will.
Horrible net is what's happening.
It must be that Pennsylvania internet service.
It's that Pennsylvania internet is what it is.
Yeah, it sucked. It was really zoned out there for a while.
Yeah. So what have you been up to today?
Me?
Yeah. Did you work today or you worked bees today?
I worked bees. Went and treated. How many did I do today? About 30. I think I put the last 35 grams on them, and put some top feeders on a few of them that were particularly mean and hungry looking.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Flower Street. It is the Amish internet, I think, tonight for sure.
They took the extra horse off.
Yeah, we're down one. But yeah, so I got through three quarters of my apiaries. I'm all done. They got the last treatment here over the last 2 days. So 3 days. I got my new hives down here. I got to hit yet. I hit them with 50 grams. So I'm hoping to hit them with another 50 grams here, somewhere a couple nights this week, hoping to work through them. I got the bee inspector coming Friday, so we'll see what that's all about.
Yeah, you get inspected early for next year, huh?
Yep.
That's not a bad thing, man.
But get through that, and then, get that done, and I'll be curious to see what he sees and see what he has to say. So yeah, it's just treating and feeding, and did a little bit of combining. Some stuff that was already small doesn't look good. So
Yep.
normal stuff.
There you go.
Brought all the supers back and have them out getting cleaned up. Bees are cleaning them up. So
Well, that's good.
just trying to keep up.
Yep. Trying to keep up. Stay above water. Keep your head above water, right?
Yep.
So we were talking about a while ago about this video that Man Lake put out about don't overfeed your bees. It really
what's
wasn't
that in reference to?
that wasn't that good of a video. So, and they were talking about, you shouldn't overfeed your bees in the fall because, they'll get reliant on you feeding them. They won't eat their stores and all this other stuff. So, yeah.
So it wasn't don't slap a pollen patty on because it'll be all wormed up with hive beetles
No,
type thing. It was a concern on your bees will get dependent on you and your sugar. Or Pro Sweet.
have any of you ever put more than one package of bees and one queen in a hive with drawn comb? Would it increase their chances of honey? Well, you won't get any honey off of package bees the first year anyway. At least you shouldn't be taking
I can
honey off of package bees the first year.
I can confirm that.
They will draw comb like crazy, and they will fill that comb, but that you shouldn't be taking honey from first year bees. So
Yeah,
you could actually add a queenless package to an existing hive that may be a little weak and boost their workforce real quick, and that'll get you. They'll make more honey that way because that workforce suddenly grew. I've done that before.
So I bought 30 packages this spring, and I put them all on. All of them had at least a couple frames of drawn comb when I put them in. And about 5 weeks later, I actually split them and put more queens in. Now they're smaller than I like. I mean, some of them are smaller than I like right now, but I'm trying to feed them up and grow them. But dropping packages in on drawn comb helps. But I agree with you, Bill. Don't hold your breath for any honey.
Yeah, you remember that little trick, don't you, Will?
Oh yeah.
6 pounds of bees and a cell builder. I had plenty of population then. And you know, those bees are still, in those 2 cell builders, those bees are still booming.
Okay.
Yeah. I got more honey. I got a lot more honey off of them after I boosted the workforce. I took that, took the double screen board out after the last run of queens, and they laid up that deep down there in the bottom with eggs, and then laid up the next deep with eggs, and filled every super that was on it with honey. So I got hives busting at the seams again this year. Again. So that's a good thing though. Yeah. Drawn, get all the drawn comb you can get.
Yep. Unfortunately, my flows weren't that good this year. So
Yeah. I think we had a good flow this year. So been a little bit of a fall flow. I have had somebody come to the store the other day. We were talking about spotted lanternfly, which really doesn't affect a lot of the country other than the East Coast and the mid-Atlantic states like Virginia, Maryland, Pennsylvania. Right now, I think they're just now getting into West Virginia and North Carolina. But they're coming, and we're just now starting to see the dew running down the trees. So they're behind as well as the bees are. So may not have to feed much this fall. So supper.
I'm hoping we get some kind of golden.
Turn your mic on, Charlie. You're not coming through.
There we go.
Okay.
3 weeks ago or 3 years ago, we had lanternfly, and I put empty supers on the top, the third medium for winter, and that thing was full.
Yeah.
And that was all honeydew and all that. Last year we had flow all the way through July, and I don't know, even the bee inspector didn't know where it was coming from.
We got a lot of fall wallflower. Bees are working bone set, ironweed are going to have a lot of goldenrod if it ever gets full bloom. It's just now starting to turn yellow here. You can tell that.
Now, do you get any flow out of that, JW, the goldenrod? Well, I don't.
No.
We get pollen
You
out
get-
of
I get pollen out of it. I don't get any. I don't rely on any of it for nectar.
We get a little bit of pollen from it.
Ironwood in is our ironweed, whatever you want to call it, in the it's purple flower. You'll see that in the pollen. You see a lot. I get a lot of purple pollen this time of year. And you guys got bone set. That's a white flower, and it has a yellow pollen in it, kind of a pale yellow pollen. They're white flowers.
Yeah.
They're like in a head. The flowers are. They look like it's a big head of cauliflower maybe or something like that, but it's all real small little white flowers.
I think I've seen them.
Yeah,
out in the fields. Here
it's a weed. I mean, to the row crop farmers,
it's a weed because the human beings call it a weed, but the bees are like, "Oh, that's
yeah,
not
that's what I'm
that's
saying.
That's food.
So if we're starting to get dry, we need a little rain to finish off this fall foliage. So,
Well, we get our hay in, and then you can rain.
all the hay is
I mean, you get about 5 good days in a row that's nice and bone dry that you can get some hay in. Then the people start belly aching and go, we need some rain. Well, wait a minute. What about the last couple of weeks we've had all this rain?
Yeah.
well.
I started that last Thursday on one of my bee clubs. And bite your tongue, people. I mean, we're trying to find a window here and finally got it, Hey, Dino.
Hey, Donna. So there's an interesting conversation going on in the chat right now.
Yeah, I see that.
That
With the amount of honey you get off of packages, help offset the cost of the packages. And I've
You're not
always
gonna
been
get
told, always been taught, and I've seen it happen that packages, you don't take honey from packages the first year, regardless whether on drawn comb, what you put them on. That honey is theirs that first year. It helps them to establish that hive is theirs.
usually
So-
with a package, you don't really get that much honey,
No, not the
Usually,
first
usually
year.
it's in the brood chamber. They're using it in, and
Yeah.
all that.
So just remember, it takes 7 to 8 pounds of honey to draw 1 pound of comb. It's expensive. So you got to think about it. Even if you put them on drawn comb, they will still draw some comb. So just, like Tiny Creek says, that if you're 135 a piece, which is wishful thinking this year, I believe, and break even on 12 packages, you got to sell 140 pounds of honey. Well, you're not going to get that much honey even off of 12 packages the first year.
It depends how much food you got and the type of weather that you have, but I bought 30 packages and I haven't made any honey off of any of them this year. Nothing that I'm taking.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen it happen. The easiest way to kill packages out over the winter is take their honey.
Yeah, I
that
agree.
first year.
It's kind of an oxymoron. Swarming and packages don't make any, you know.
Tiny, $135 a piece, I think, is wishful thinking this year.
You're saying for next year, Bill.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
You could get them for that this year, but I don't know what they're going to be next year.
Nobody does. Nobody really knows.
No,
Yep, not yet.
nobody will know till about February.
I know what mine's going to cost. I buy nothing. 'Cause I'm
There
not
you go.
buying anything.
But yeah, like Will was saying, they won't set package prices until solid price until the end of February.
I'm bigger than I need to be right now, let alone bigger. You boys making me hungry. I know that. I may have to go dig out some kind of fat food to snack on.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
we've all
got
been eating, haven't we?
I got home pop popcorn, JW.
Okay. My popcorn pop was on strike, I think.
You're not
I
paying
agree
her
with
enough,
Philip. I mean,
JW.
I have seen Nukes make honey the first year.
Yeah. I agree with that too, but them packages, time you get them established, it's
Yeah, you got to
pretty
get them
slim
in back.
pickings.
Now, last year here in Virginia, they were $135 a piece. And I was told last year that they were probably going to go up this year, this coming spring. So we'll see.
Like Clay there, he said they made 2 extra supers on packages, but depends on the year. Depends on what's going on. Depends on the package too. If it's a really, it's a package that really has the gusto,
Yeah.
or the queen, let's say.
Yeah. It all depends on the queen that's with them, too. I mean, she could be a real dud. And you're going to end up requeening.
Yeah, if the stars align and everything's perfect and everything, it could work. But I'm going to say the average. I don't know that the average supports that.
Diana, she sold 2 nukes. They got 7.5 gallons of honey. Somebody did, and left each one of them with a 10 frame box of cat with more below. He was super lucky. Well, big thing about a nuke and a package is 2 different things.
Yeah.
You
Oh,
nuke,
totally different thing.
a nuke, you're 30 days ahead of the schedule. And the fact of it is, that's an established hive that everybody knows, everybody's related to everybody.
A package, they don't know. Now, all the workers know each other, but they don't know the queen. Probably tiny. Yeah. You'd be better off if you want honey production. You'd be better off starting with a nuke than you would a package.
Around my area, people are leaning toward, even though it's an extra $20 or $30 per box, they're leaning towards nukes.
Yeah.
Over packages.
Yep.
Well, if you really wanted to make honey, just buy a whole complete 10 frame box full of bees.
Yeah, you could do that. Some people do that.
Yep.
Yep.
How much is a 10 frame box full of bees?
Two
They
and a
range
quarter
in
in my
price
area.
from 250 to 350.
Yeah, I think Seth Hill's selling them for, didn't I? Look, I think he's selling for around 3.
A brood frame or a brood cotton tiny? Or Andrew? He's down in South Carolina. Sound like to me you got the resources.
Yeah, he does. He just needs a bee.
I'd make sure to take damn good care of that so wax moths don't get in it unless it's only
Yep.
had honey in it.
That, and my question is, if you had 200 frames of drawn comb, that tells me you had a bunch of dead hives.
Yeah.
So why,
Why
figure
did
out
I?
that. Why did it die? That would be the number one problem I would be figuring out or trying to.
Yeah, he had a big extraction. He could have that many frames of drawn comb. I've got that many out of extracted, supers, Charlie, but stored, more than that. Got what?
He runs all deeps.
I've got over 300 frames of drawn comb right now, setting out, stored. I won't put back on till next year.
You got crystals on all them.
I do.
I've got all my empties, boxes, and supers right now sitting in the freezer.
Well, I couldn't.
Well, there you go.
I got a half a walk-in freezer full. So,
Yeah, like I said, like Todd out there, he lost a bunch of bees last year, so he had a bunch of drawn frames. It can be a chore if you get too many of them. I know that.
yep.
Keep them all healthy.
Yep. Andrew or Tiny Creek, he kind of made the same mistake you did, Will. He split them too early, or split them.
Yeah, too much too early.
Andrew,
Too
are
late.
you aren't you same fellow that was getting bees for Bob Walker coming up out of the South? If I'm not mistaken.
Well, we don't like him, Roy.
Well, I don't know. I think that my experience in the bee world is that okay, Andrew. It takes year, I guess. Well, what I'm getting at is, in order to grow, it takes you a season to grow for the next year.
Yeah,
It's like
it does.
like my production hive. I had I went from 12 to 16 last year. Well, it took me last year to kind of get those 4 established, good,
Yep.
without too many problems. And then this year I increased it another 2 hives out of nukes and stuff. Same thing. It took me this year to establish those 2 hives. And then next year things should be better. Hey, Brian.
Hey, Charlie.
Hey, Brian.
Hey, Bill. Hey, Will.
Hey,
Hey, JW.
You could have left me off, and I wouldn't.
I came on to play devil's advocate a little bit, if you don't mind, gentlemen.
Sure.
I'm gonna respectfully disagree in a hypothetical world, and I think the key that I'm gonna focus on is the double the bees. If he's putting 2 packages in drawn comb in his brood chamber, and he has drawn comb for his honey supers, those bees are gonna be making a lot of honey almost immediately. Right? That queen, I think one of the big problems he's gonna have is just with combining those 2 packages with a new queen, because these are 20,000 bees that that don't know that queen, right? That's a lot of bees, right? To put into drawn comb. Now, if this is a big key too. When do you get those packages in relation to the flow? I don't know what the timing is for your ability to get packages or when it is for the flow, but for me in Colorado, I can get packages probably around the 1st of May. And my flow ends second week in July. So that gives them 2 months to fill however many frames you have in your brood chamber with brood and honey, and that's going to get full really quick. And then moving up into the honey supers, I think is definitely doable. I think the biggest challenge is going to be a turnover in bees. There's not going to be any new bees till 21 days after that queen starts laying, right?
Mhm.
So when is that population of 20,000 going to start dwindling and get replaced by bees from that queen? That's part of the benefit of having a nuke is you have bees emerging immediately because it's an already established colony. So
Yep.
again, I think if it's drawn comb, that's double the bees. Everything I've heard you guys are talking about is based on your experience with 1 package. And I agree with all of what you said there. But his situation is talking about double the amount of bees. And I think that is a huge factor in that. So again, with the right situation, I think it could work. I do want to go back to Charlie's question, though, of why did those colonies die? Because in a hypothetical world, I think it could work. But if those colonies died because of something in that brood or on those frames, then he's
Well,
just
he
Yeah, go ahead.
stated that he split them and then his bucket feeders leaked on them. So
Yeah.
he
Okay,
got
so
him. He got
Yeah.
him sticky. I would say
Gotcha.
he
So-
got him sticky wet.
yeah, beekeeper error can be fixed. Yeah, for sure. So what do you guys feel free to push back on that? That's my opinion.
So, Brian, hypothetically speaking, I can agree with you to a point. But as far as bee die off on those packages, it starts the day they put them in the packages.
Yeah.
So, all right. So now if those packages get delayed getting to you, I don't know how he's getting them, or if somebody's bringing them up and he's getting them right off the truck, or if they're shipping them.
Yeah.
If they ship them, you can figure by the time you get them, they've already been in that package 3 to 5 days. You may have a couple of inches of bees in the bottom of it that are dead. So your bee die off starts the day they shake them. And then if it's 3 to 5 days before you get them, figure you've lost 25% of those bees at that point. Now, granted, you're starting with 2 packages, but still, those bees have to get established before they're going to start working. They have to know where the food sources are at before they start working real hard. It takes time. That's why, in all the years that I bought packages, we never took honey from them the first year. Never.
And again, I don't argue with that. But double the bees, I think, is a different situation. Yeah. And man, if I picked up a package that had a couple of inches of dead bees on the bottom, I would not be going home with that package. I'd be going home with my money.
Let me
Well-
ask you this: why would you spend $270 to buy 2 packages of bees when I think you could buy an established 10 frame colony and make honey for probably the same money or cheaper?
Yeah.
No, I
Why
agree.
would you design
I
some
agree
stuff?
with that, Will. He was just asking if you could do it,
Yeah.
right?
No, I
So
mean, I wouldn't throw my money that way on a gamble.
Yeah.
No.
I think you're
Yeah.
saying it's a better idea to spend your money on a full nuke or a full single, and I agree with that completely. I
Yeah.
was just responding to the question,
Yeah.
can you do it?
Yeah.
And I think he can. But I agree with you completely. I think it would be
Yeah,
a better investment to buy
Yeah.
a single with an already established queen in there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm seeing you can buy. Now you have to look, but you can buy a 4-way pallet, for less than $1,000.
Yeah, I think he said he was getting them from Bob Binney, so he
Mhm.
might be able to get singles from Bob.
No,
Binney.
that was Hope that gets hers from Bob Benny.
Okay.
But I
Okay.
mean, I think the going rate, if you look real hard, is between $800 and $1,000, like for a 4-way pallet of bees, if you wanted
Yeah.
to do it.
Right. And
Yeah.
then, also you got to think, okay, if you're going to buy a 5-frame nuke, you got to look at, okay, overwinter queen, what was the honey production where you were getting her from last year? Did they wear her out? And you're getting a worn out queen when you buy an overwinter nuke. You got to think about that too.
Sure.
So,
So I think maybe a better question is, what would be the best investment if honey production was my goal, right? If
Yes.
just to generalize a little bit, if that's your goal, Tiny Creek, maybe that's the conversation to have of could this work? Because I think it could work, but what else could work? I think is what
For
everyone else is saying.
clarification, he was getting his bees. Tiny Creek was getting his bees from Bob Benning.
okay.
All right, that's the thing. And then also clarify that he just split them too thin, too late. That's kind of like a Will. He did
Yep.
that same
I did that
situation
last year.
last year.
Yep.
And that was beekeeper error.
Yep.
And that's something that everybody, I mean, everything in beekeeping, it's an experience thing.
Yes.
And it seems to be. I mean, we can all help each other out, but a lot of times it's the experience.
Yeah, I agree.
Yep.
And it also depends where you live.
Yeah, it does.
Depends on the season that you have.
Exactly. And like here in the mid-Atlantic states, typically our bees come out of Northwest Georgia and they shake them the day that they leave down there to come back. So when you get them the next day by noon, 1 o'clock the next day, they've probably been in that package 24 hours. There should not be any dead bees in there when you get them.
Yeah, I agree with Clay. He's saying nukes would be the way to go with the drawn comb.
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
usually those nukes are boiling at they should be boiling at the seams when you put them in a 10 frame, and they'll take
Well,
off.
I mean, the bees that I got down in Georgia, they were packages. Let's see. If we got down there on the one day, we stayed over to the next day and went back the next day. They were shook they were shook at least a day ahead of time before we put them on the truck. And then sometimes you didn't have the whole order. They didn't have the, let's say you needed 300 boxes of bees. Maybe they needed another 30 boxes to finish the order out. If we got down there on a Sunday, we laid over on a Monday and come home on a Wednesday. So they would shake the rest of them bees out on a Tuesday, and then Wednesday morning we would load and all that. Now you also have to remember queens. You got the ones that are shaking bees over here, that crew, and then other yards, they're out there pulling, or what do you call it, picking up queens, putting them in the cages, Cajun queens, and they'll be sitting on the shelf in the office. They could be sitting in there for at least 24 hours. And
Yeah.
that group of queens will go out with the shakers and they'll shake the bees and drop the queen in there and, staple a little ribbon that goes on there and all that stuff and put the juice jar in. So those things have been, before they're even on the truck for me to bring back, they've been in that box for a day, at least a day and a half. And now one thing we noticed, or one thing that I learned, is that you're coming up the road. If it gets too cold, you got to put a canvas on. You got to put a tarp on, but you leave a little bit of space in the front of that tarp to let the air go through. Cause I was in there working that tarp, and when you got 250, 300 boxes of bees, that's like a blast furnace in there. You wouldn't believe it, the amount of heat that comes off all them bees. And so you have to, that's the thing about transporting bees. If it's too cold, you can't let them get too cold and chilled, or they'll, as they say, they'll melt. Or if it's good weather, and you can try not to, if you can get up the road without getting rained on, that's another issue too. And they'll melt.
Yeah.
And that's where you get a bunch of bees in a box. And then other times the weather's perfect. They shook, they put the queens in, you got them on your truck, up the road you go. You got that 70-degree weather in the evenings, and during the day, it's, you're going up the road and the air is flowing because everything's spaced out on that truck. So they all have air.
Mhm.
And you have very little, I'll say, death rate inside them boxes. You might have, the floor of it might be slightly covered. Like Brian said, if you
That's
got
what
that
I
many
see.
kids,
Yeah,
if you
that's
got
what I
that
see.
many, I wouldn't take that box at all.
That's right. I'll take
Yeah.
that bottom layer of dead bees, but that's pretty much it. And I don't.
Yeah.
And I'm sure all of us are thinking ultimately your end goal is to not buy bees at all, but to be able to raise your own bees.
Exactly.
Because
Right.
that's where most of us are at, and most of us, if we're buying Speaking of packages, do you guys know anything about Florida beekeeping geography and like where's the package? Like, is there a specific place in Florida where all the queen rearers are? Is there a place? I don't know anything about like the big guys in Florida. You guys know anything about that? Who's where?
No.
That kind of thing. No?
No.
Like, are people raising queens all over Florida? Or is it up north to get away from Africanized genetics?
Well, I can
Well,
say,
the Africanized genetics are pretty much throughout the state of Florida
yeah.
Okay.
and up to the Georgia line and a couple of miles over the Georgia line.
Okay.
You'll have Africanized genetics. That's why most of the bees that come to the mid-Atlantic states come out of northwest Georgia.
Yep.
There's a few that come out of northeast, but most of them are out of northwest Georgia.
Maybe I assumed because of those Bob Binney videos with Chris Werner, there were more Florida queen rears than there are.
I think
I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of Florida queen rearers, but the package bees that we get here, the queens are coming out of Georgia, and like Charlie said, he goes down to get them. You got a queen rearing side and you got a package bee side, and then they just put them together.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, down at where we're at in Georgia, you've got down around Claxton, Georgia, you've got what's it called? Wilbanks.
Yep.
All right, 50 miles or about, not even 50 miles. 25 miles down the road is Hardeman's.
Yep.
And there's right in that vicinity, or close, you're kind of east of Atlanta. Actually,
Okay.
let's see. You're about, if you go to Hardeman's, you're about halfway to Macon, Georgia. And all in that area right there are multiple bee suppliers, and each one of those suppliers, Woolbanks has they shake bees, and they also make their own queens. They have queen yards and they have shaken yards.
Yep.
And Hardeman's has the same thing. You got shaken yards and queen yards. And there's two different crews, and you know, they get together, and you know, the queens go out, and queen yard guys, they cage queens. All they do, they'll cage queens in the morning, and then come back that afternoon after lunch, and they'll drop. Let's say at Hardeman's you have, let's say, Italians, and you've got the Russians, and so they might cage Russian queens in the morning, and go back to that same yard, them same rows, and they'll drop Russian cells in that afternoon, and feed the, you know, put the feed in the feeders and stuff like that. And then they might be pulling the Italians out that afternoon in that area there, and then come back the next day and drop in cells.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff.
Yeah, Tiny Creek is keeping us bouncing in the comments. I'd go to Bob and try to buy singles if I wanted to get back.
I
to
would
hunting.
too. Yep.
Yeah, if he's close to Bob's, I'd go get.
Yeah.
I'd go get singles, and that's the best way he can be back on making honey next year.
Yep.
Well, I know Seth sold them this year for round 3. I'm pretty sure. You know, he's Bob's
Yeah, is Seth?
mentee. You know,
Seems like
started on
is-
his own.
I think Seth is back working for Bob, I guess, or
He does part-time, Charlie, I think. I don't think he's still got his own operation, I think, trying to.
you know, hook up with somebody like that, and like you say, you can work a deal out if you need 10 boxes of bees or something like that,
Yep.
and that kind of thing. I think that's what Seth kind of liked too. He didn't do nukes; he liked full boxes of bees.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Full colonies.
That's the idea for Tiny Creek then.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because I mean, Seth's has got, you know, I think he's been trained by Bob and got good bees and stuff.
Yep.
And if you have
And
all that,
that's a
if you have
better
all that
use
drawn
of your
comb-
money to do it that way.
Yeah, if you have all that drawn comb, just use that as putting that second double deep on to get them through that winter. Then, you know, after you pull the honey off, put that second deep on.
Yeah.
Thank you, Grammy. I was wondering who Andrew Foster is. Grammy says Andrew Foster is near me.
Who is
Okay.
Andrew Foster?
She says it's Selena and her fiance. So I'm assuming that's Selena from
Bob Benny.
Bob's company. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, she's dating one of the guys in the crew there, I think, to what Bob said on one of the videos.
Okay.
Yeah, Andrew, he's got, I mean, the stock that you're going to get out of Bob Benny or Seth is good stock. They're well taken care of. They're well cared for. So that would be a better use of funds doing it that way than going with packages.
Okay, he's a big queen breeder in Arcadia, Florida.
Yeah.
Thank you, Lisa. Does he have a
And,
YouTube channel? or-
and Lisa says, not that Selena. Okay.
Yeah.
There's another Selena. Her name's Selena Buckner. She's at, she's a doctor at, a bee specialist at Auburn.
Okay.
There it
There you
is.
go.
Lisa said Selena
Selena Bennett.
and
Alex
all.
Buckner, unless she's got married. I know her personally. She was up
Thank
here.
you.
She's got family here in the town I live in.
No.
She's
You've got
from-
a direct
she's from
connection,
Switzerland.
Jay.
She's a native Swiss, but she's Selena Billett. Is an alumni of Auburn Bee Lab. There's a Selena Buckner that's there now. So
All right, yeah, there's two different ones.
Okay, she knows who I'm talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
one with it starts with an S, the other one starts with a C. So there you go. There's a difference.
Yeah. Okay,
But
Jeremy. I know Selena Buckner. You know, she's got family here in the town I live in presently. So she was up here this winter over Christmas.
and there
Okay.
was it talking about these different people and stuff, and it was something I kept missing in somebody's video all the time. It was always in the person's video, this person, and so I went to her website or her Facebook page, and she's not working for Ian anymore, and that's what's her name? Carrie. Yeah, Carrie. Carrie's not working for Ian now. Doesn't say what she's doing, but she's not into bees right now. I'll put it to you that way.
Look, Brad's already selling nukes for next year.
Yeah, he's getting his plug in.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. Well, appreciate that information. You know, I know a little bit about the West Coast scene and how we get packages and nukes from California and all, but I don't know much about the East Coast. Everything I know is from what I see on YouTube and hear in
Yeah.
these chats. So just trying to build some knowledge.
Yeah, now there's some guys in North Carolina, and there's some guys in South Carolina that shake bees.
Yeah.
Never bought any shaking bees from them, and there's a guy in Maryland that shakes bees too.
Who's
So,
that?
Wood Camp.
Oh,
Now his bees aren't too bad at all, but they've just come back off pollination. So
well, I got the nukes that I've been getting. It came from Chuck Kudix down there in South Carolina,
yeah,
Manning, South Carolina, and his nukes down there. I will have to say, when the nukes I got from him, they had at least 3 and sometimes 4 frames of solid cat brood.
yep,
And I mean, they were busting. You better have them in another big box darn
Yeah.
quick, because they're
'cause
getting
they're gonna want to swarm.
they're gonna want to swarm. And there's been some issues where they've came to Lloyd's to pick them up, and they fooled around when they got them home, and I'm
Gone.
like, aren't
Yep.
you going to replace them? We're like, no. We told you that you needed to, get on the stick and get this job done
Yep.
and all that. So how was the Corey Stevens bee camp?
Yeah, that was great, Charlie. Thanks for asking. It was a lot of fun. There were 7 of us that went. 4 of us flew and 3 of us drove. I took my truck, and man, let me tell you, a 14-hour road trip goes by quick when you got 2 other beekeepers that all they want to do is talk bees. Man,
bet.
it was nice. So we left Monday, got there Monday night at like 11:30. So it was a long day. So we left 5 in the morning, got there at 11:30 at night. And then Tuesday, Wednesday, we spent at Corey's. Thursday morning, we went home and stopped it. So we left at like 5 in the morning, got to St. Louis around 7:25. Tom picked a great place that was like right off of the highway for us. So, got to spend an hour just chatting with bees, Tom and Melissa, and then drove all the way home on Thursday. And then as I left the breakfast place, I pulled out my phone and I got some frantic texts from Jen. So that's when we ended up making plans she was already planning on coming down for the weekend, but that's when I got a plane ticket myself. So I got home Thursday night, then just hopped on a plane Friday morning, and we're supposed to be going home tomorrow, but we'll see. But Corey's was great. The Harbo assay is something I've consumed every piece of media there is out there on. But the fact that I was able to go and do it with him and kind of get his expertise, so I knew what I was looking at, that's all I needed. So after that first frame of 100, I knew what I was doing, and I feel pretty confident now that I can go back and teach it with some confidence to other people as well. And that was the goal. Like we picked people, or I picked people because I organized the thing that first of all could go. So like retired people or people who had disposable time, and that had a skill level and interest in the topic, and were willing to be able to go back and push the information out to their local clubs. So of the 7 people that went, 2 others were on the board. I think everyone but one is in the master beekeeping program in Colorado. And the one that's not very well could be. He's just a really smart guy and just chooses to
Well, that's good.
learn stuff on his own. So it was a great experience. Corey was awesome. Jamie was awesome. Corey's got a great place. Man, if it wasn't in southeastern Missouri, I'd be jealous and I'd be thinking about ways to move there. But what a beautiful place he has. He has this amazing patch, like a wildflower field that he put out. It's just awesome. He's done a really nice job building what he's building, It's been really cool. So we did like 50 colonies. So he had 2 different people working those 2 days, and their jobs were essentially to pull frames. And when they were done pulling frames, they would come in and do the Harbo assay with us. So he's working on a bee lab / honey house, which is in the process of being built. So we didn't use that. We were in his garage, and it was basically set up with empty tables, and we had all the frames. He had the frames in nukes, and we just went to the nukes, pulled out a frame, went to our station, and then opened up 100 cells, looked inside, gathered data, and then moved on to the next frame. And there was a couple that had, so if you get none on 100 cells, you go another 100 on that same frame. And there was a good handful that had 0 reproductives, 0 non-reproductives in 200 cells. So it makes me want to go back to my colonies. And there's a couple colonies I haven't treated yet. I just want to do the Harbo assay on them just to get a good idea of, okay, this is what Corey's bees are showing. What is like a baseline for something like in my apiary showing? So that'll be interesting. Go ahead, Charlie.
So you're counting the mites that you find, right? Is that
Yeah,
what
so you open up cells of pupa that are purple-eyed or older. That allows the varroas to develop to a certain stage, and that allows the bees to respond to the varroa development, right? So if they're that age or older, you open them up and you're looking for reproductive mites. So if it's reproductive, you'll see the foundress mite, you'll see the male mite, you'll see several female mites. If it's non-reproductive, you might see several different things. You just might see a foundress mite. You might see a foundress mite and a male, and then she hasn't, because if she starts laying eggs a couple days later, she's not going to be able to get through that whole reproductive system. So you won't see the whole family in there. So the first frame, it was like verifying that you're seeing nothing. It was pretty obvious when you open up a cell if there's varroa in there almost immediately. So that was the big learning curve. It was just, am I really seeing nothing? Am I missing something? But after 100 repetitions of it on that first frame, definitely the pace picked up quite a bit. And it was cool because you're at a table with 3 other people. Corey's at the table doing them too. So anytime you had a question, you can call them over, and it was just fun. It was a fun, nerdy beekeeping field trip.
So when you go back to yours and you find you got a whole bunch of them in there, then what are you going to do? Nothing. I mean, keep on doing.
I'm gonna treat. It's just it'll be interesting to know the difference in baseline, because you started to see patterns in Corey's. One thing that was pretty interesting was, at least on my frames, I found more non-reproductives than reproductives, and it was typically just the foundress mite and nothing else in there. And it doesn't count against the Harbo score. There's kind of like an equation you go through at the end. So the first day we did pretty much, we got the tour of his place. We walked around his apiary a little bit, and then he showed us what we're doing, how we're doing it. So we sat there and we did a couple, and we went out to eat both nights. That was fun. And then the second day, we pretty much finished everything around 1 o'clock. All the frames that were pulled were finished. And then we went and kind of looked at the scores and evaluated them and kind of classified them 4, 3, 2, 1 based on the Harbo score. So it was cool. I definitely feel like I walked away with the goal that I had intended for the activity, was that he was getting a great little Tom Sawyer camp where he got 7 people working for him and getting a whole bunch of data. And we walked away with that experience with an expert, so are able to push that skill set out to anyone in Colorado. So now I got 6 other people trained to do it. So yeah, it was a good time. And then on Sunday, before we went on the farmer's market, I just got a bag full of honey jars and just walked up and down the market and traded honey for all these Colorado things and brought him a nice little kind of care package to thank him for being such a great host. So brought him some good stuff from the Lafayette Farmers Market in Colorado. It was fun. Good time.
Yeah, it sounds kind of like with me going down to Bill's and the visualization of having the right
Yeah,
amount of bees
exactly.
and right amount of bees
Yeah.
in a cell builder. And then I was like, oh, okay, I got it now. And
yeah, I heard it a billion times and now I see it.
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, you think you know what you're doing, but when you really see what you're supposed to be doing, now you understand. And then with me, I was talking to like Ryan Peabody that comes on here, and I asked him, and he started out with a nuke, and then I said, well, did you put all capped fruit, brood frames in? And he said, yeah, and then wait so many days for all that stuff to hatch, and then you got the population that you're looking for. And I started out with that and a queenless nuke on top of it. So I had the bees and I added more bees that were going to make more nurse bees. So queen rearing was a lot more successful for me this year. And then like my videos that I put out about maintaining that population by adding more frames every couple weeks.
Yep.
I think that's a great comparison, Charlie. Both you and I think through things quite a bit before we jump into things, right? And you can once you decide to jump in, you can fumble through that a little bit in the beginning. But being able to see how Bill did it helped you go, oh, okay, now I know exactly what to do, and you didn't have to fumble through it as you tried it. You just were able to replicate what you saw.
And also, Bill had an 8-frame box, and then Peabody had a nuke, and I've had previous experience within nukes, and then months later, when Bees in the Weeds had what's his name? I can't think of his name right now, out in Kentucky.
Kent Williams.
Yeah, Kent Williams, where he was stating in that video that you can condense and pack them bees in a nuke. It's easier to compress the bees and lots of bees in there for them to manipulate them, to look at those queen cell cups, to draw them out and stuff like that, and everything. And that's the thing about a nuke box, is that it's a manipulator. You can manipulate your bees to do a lot of different things with that box, that size box.
Yep.
Hey, Mark. And stuff
Mark.
like that. And, and then this, like we were saying, Will was talking with him here a few days ago. You can, like for me with doing the cell builder, I started out with a cell builder. I know how to, pack them bees in there. Kent taught me how to graft several years ago, back, I guess it's been 5 years ago. And then on top of that, like I switched over to the Easy Peasy cages, which are a huge help. And with the frame that you bank them in and all that kind of stuff. And I was learning, let them hatch out in the cell builder, like Ryan Williamson was talking about, and getting them to be fed right away. And then recently I've been talking to another commercial guy, and I said, well, my mating success was not that high by putting virgins in and stuff. And he said, well, I do better with cells. And then I got to thinking about what I did about 4 years ago when I was raising queens. And my most success, I had 20, 30 boxes of cell builders out there, or not cell builders, but mating boxes. And that's what I was doing. I was putting cells in at the time. And I said, well, I think that's what I'm going to have to try, next year, next spring, is get my mating boxes, populated with draw and comb, and they'll stay in them boxes and drop cells in, and see how my success rate hopefully will go up. And then everybody who wants to buy a mated queen can buy mated queens, because that's what everybody wants. Whether I can generate that many quick enough. So
we'll be doing that class again next spring with some more stuff added into it and put some more nuggets out. But the one thing I'll never forget, Brian, is the look on Charlie's face when we packed that hive full of bees.
I mean, the hive was 8 frames, and it was, I called it a good beehive, where you kind of could see the frames, the tops of the frames, To me, if a hive's a good, strong hive, that's when you open the hive up and all you see is bees. You don't see no frames. And that hive was pretty darn close to that. Then he dumped 2 more packages on top of that.
Yep.
And then it got chilly that night. Before we left that day, you had about a couple pounds of bees out on the front porch, hanging on the front of the hive. And we went back here, I guess, what was it, about 8 o'clock, something like that, 7:30.
They were all inside.
And they were all inside. It was cold, and everybody got inside.
Yep.
All that.
They made room. But that class was a success, because, everybody got nuggets out of it, and, it helped a bunch of people get started in the queen rearing side of it that had never done it before. So,
well, Darren here, Pennsylvania Beekeeper, he was there, and he's had success this year of, getting queens hatched out. And I think he got several hives that actually got mated and came back. And once you get over that hurdle of, oh, okay, it worked, and it's like, okay, I can do this.
Yeah.
And that kind of stuff, which is good.
So, and then we had JT and Kathy, who are typically on here and on Friday nights. They had never done it before, and they got started this year, and they had success. So, it's, as long as I can pass nuggets along to people and get them started in something, or give them success at doing something, that's a win for me and for them.
I agree, Bill. I agree.
So, and that's the whole goal of teaching a class, is to get, make people successful.
And that was what was cool about Corey's perspective. He can hold this information tight, and he can monopolize the industry, or monopolize his little corner of it. But he was very gracious in all of his knowledge, and he gets that too, Bill. He knows that it's going to be a better community if this information is spread out, and there are people doing this across the country.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about what you guys do too, is that just teaching, like, everyone's better. There's plenty of room for everyone at the table. You don't need to hold your information tight, because, I don't know, information is one thing, but hard work is another, and not everyone's got that ability to put those two together.
Right. So then there'll be as well next year, there'll be that continuing education all summer long that I did this year. I'll do it again next year. So, and I'll see if I can't get a few guest instructors there as well to do some classes.
Bill, will you continue as the president of the Virginia Association?
No, the October is my last month. I'm only
Okay.
allowed to serve 2 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and
Okay.
the one person that really wants it, that's running as well, she would be a very good president.
Awesome. Yeah, I think there are benefits and drawbacks to that system. It's a benefit that you're constantly getting new ideas, but it's a drawback if there's a really good person in that position and there isn't good people that are wanting to do it. So
That's
it's
true.
a good thing that you have someone that you have faith in, that you can walk away from it and not feel like it's gonna fall to pieces or anything.
Yeah. And see, I'll be past president for a year, and I've already told her I'll take over the newsletter and working with the regional reps and that kind of stuff.
Perfect. How many affiliated clubs does Virginia have?
40, I want to say 48.
Wow.
We have it's broken up into 13 regions.
Okay. See, for perspective, Colorado has 13 affiliated clubs.
Wow.
And maybe 3 or 4 that are non-affiliated, kind of just running independently. But we have fewer beekeepers spread out over a larger geographical area for most of Colorado, but there are those pockets like Denver has like 3-4 clubs in the general area. That's part of our problem too, is oftentimes our events are held in the Denver metro area, which is where the greatest percentage of beekeepers are. But if you do that, you automatically isolate the Four Corners beekeepers always, so
Yeah.
it's tough to make everyone happy. So we have one kind of small commercial beekeeper smack in the middle of the state that has been hosting the afternoon part of our summer meetings. So we've been doing that every summer, and in the fall it's kind of hopped around different places, but it's mostly in the metro area. But I mean, we don't have a lot of beekeepers, so it's a small pool of volunteers. And then when you think of skilled beekeepers as those volunteers as well, that pool gets even smaller.
Yeah.
Well, don't you have a lot of areas that I'll say it's inhabited too? I mean, and as far as the state goes,
Uninhabited or very sparsely inhabited. Like most stuff east of Denver is farmland, and there's not very many people living out there. And then the parts of the southwestern, even southeastern, it's like deserty. And then the mountains, you're not going to get many beekeepers because of the elevation. So yeah, we have a huge boulder population all along the Front Range, which kind of runs up and down the Rocky Mountains from north to south. There's most of the beekeepers, and then the Four Corners, which is down in the southwestern, and then western, which is around Grand Junction, but not many. It's a small group, which is why this has been so valuable, because there's not many beekeepers or beekeeping business people. So when I look to other beekeepers in Colorado, there's not many people that I can have a conversation like I can have with the 4 of you guys really easily.
well, I have to say it's just kind of the same thing for me it's like I belong to multiple bee clubs, but there's nothing there for me anymore because I don't know. I'm not a higher level, but I guess you might say I'm more like a sideliner. I'm looking at the business end of it.
Sure.
You know, it's like, how do we, what would you say? Let's say, how do you do day-to-day operations the most efficient way when you got 25 hives, or let's say if somebody's got 50 hives? And how do you, you know, we're looking at buying in bulk of different products that, you know, for your hives, where most of the other beekeepers have maybe got 5 hives in their backyard, and, you know, it's no big, you know, there's no concern about doing everything in an efficient manner
Yeah.
and that kind of stuff. And then I get like, which I don't quite understand people, but you know, they'll have bees. I'll get a text. Well, what's the parameters for Formic Pro for the temperature parameters? And I'm like, well, why don't you, if you got the product, why aren't you reading the label?
It's easier
Or-
to ask, Charlie.
You know, huh?
It's easier to ask.
Yeah.
You know, and all that. I,
Indeed.
you know, I tell them, I said, you know, I text the person, you know, I tell them like, you know, I like it. 85 is the limit, but I said I recommend 80 or below, like the weather is right now, and low humidity for the first 4 to 5 days. And then I went to another bee meeting, and I didn't go to the meeting. They videotaped it. So the lady was talking about Apricot, and she told about what she did. And it's like well, she was saying first she couldn't find any instructions. She's using the little tins, and the instruction pad, which is a little, you know, three page paper, stuck in between some of the tins. Well, I would have been through all that box in order to find that paper. And then I've got the paper for Apricot. It's probably the same paper, and I'm like, it's like Bill brought it up. You go to the frequently asked questions, and there's on the website is where there's 23 questions that they're answered, and they're answered in pretty darn good details, and written in very plain, understandable. The way the way they were written is the way I would think, you know, in my questions if I was asking somebody. And why that company doesn't take all those and put them in a paper form in that box, I don't know. But you know, I don't know. It just seemed like they don't do the research as far as the product that they're going to use. I mean, like myself, I
right,
researched
Charlie.
it for 6 or 8 months about Apricot. I came here, I pestered everybody's, you know, picked everybody's brain, you know, and what did you do down in like Cajun Homestead, Brian down there in Louisiana? He's in a hot section. Let's see what he does. And then you got a person that's up in the northern section. What do they do? And all these different things. And then I finally took the plunge this year. And now I have a very good understanding of that product. I know the temperature ranges, and they are very closely dissimilar to Formic Pro, and all the prep work to your hives is the same thing: open entrances, closed bottom boards, has to have a 2-inch shim or 1.5 inch shim. They were some of the things that the lady on that video didn't tell these people. Here are the brand new beekeepers, and you know, this is what you got to do to prep the hive. And she didn't say nothing about that, and she really didn't go over temperature ranges. And she doesn't, from, you know, her bees were out on the ground. That's how it was. She probably put the 50-gram tin on there, and they just like, hey, it's too hot. We're getting out of this house. And she told about what she did and how it was a major malfunction. And it just she didn't relay to these new people, this is the procedure that you should be doing.
Yeah.
And all
But
that.
see, now, like Charlie's saying, I did a class this year in June on treatments. I could have sat up there all day and just talked about treatments and held up the packaging, right? But what we did just before the lunch break is we went outside Everybody put a respirator on. Everybody put on nitrile gloves. I opened these packages up and they got to see what they look like. They got to handle it. They got to see what a vaporizer did with oxalic acid in it. And they understood it at that point. And now their confidence was built up to a point to where I can do this. Because
Especially
when we
down there, because they don't
started
know what a
opening this stuff up-
vaporizer is.
when we started opening this stuff up and actually looking at it and seeing it, they understood then what I was talking about in class. There's nothing like a hands-on portion of a classroom, because then it clicks, and then they say, I can do this. I'm not afraid to do this. But that's something that beginning B classes and B clubs don't teach. And they don't teach that way because I guess they're afraid of getting sued. I don't know. But you've got to be able to teach it, show somebody what it looks like, and let them get their hands on it. You know?
I think a lot of it is in most B clubs is going to be in the evening at after dark,
Yeah.
and it's not the best time to do stuff like that.
Right.
There's a couple of clubs out here in Colorado that have club apiaries, and they've kind of got one club started it, and a couple other clubs kind of copied their model, where whatever their topic is for the month at the meeting, the following Saturday is an apiary visit where they do exactly what you guys are talking about. You get the classroom education Tuesday night, and then Saturday at the bee yard, that's when you go and you apply it to those colonies. And I think that's a really cool model because it's fairly fresh in your brain, and it is that. And it's not one type of education is better than the other. It's when you put those two together, that's when the learning really happens, because I think it's a hands-on portion is really important. But going into that hands-on portion equipped with information already is going to allow you to ask the right questions instead of the beginner questions. So
Right.
Yep.
I think it's about both of them overlapping. As many
Yeah.
types of learning experiences as you can have, the better.
We my club that I was the president of and past president now, we have an apiary, and one of our guys, actually one of the past presidents, hits what he does is, he'll say, all right, this Saturday we're going to do do Varroa checks with a check, alcohol wash.
Yeah.
And then also we're treating them hives right there. So we're showing them this is how you apply it and stuff like that in a real situation and all that. And you get some, there's that group that will show up that, they're really interested. And there's the other group that doesn't make it,
Yeah, they want to hang back in the back of the classroom and
these
try
are
to
the
get
ones
them
that
to come up and do something, and they don't want to. They really don't want to be there.
I guess you might say wannabe beekeepers, I guess would be the best way to explain it.
Yeah.
Bee
And then when
havers.
you whip the test out on them at the end of class, they're like, "What's this for?" See what you retained.
But
So I don't know. There's a lot of different things that could change in the way beginning beekeepers are educated, I think, throughout the nation.
well,
So,
I think you have all these different ways and everything like that. But the number one thing that has to happen first is that person who wants to be a beekeeper, really wants to be a beekeeper, who is aggressive enough to go after that information, that want, to try to find as much information as possible. And then you have the other folks that are kind of like, they just kind of meander along. Well, we'll, hopefully figure it out down the road.
Yeah.
And there's your good beekeeper, then your mediocre beekeeper. And until they get a change of attitude towards their hobby, they'll always be mediocre.
Yep.
And it's like the one I got one guy I help out. His bees are, as I would say, they're always on the back burner. Where
Yeah.
my bees are always on the front burner. You know, I'm always looking, okay, what are we going to do this next weekend? And we're going to do, you know, if it's a Saturday that I usually get into my bees, okay, I'm already planning my Saturday afternoon a week in advance
Yep.
of things that I know I need to get done. I can tell you right now, next Saturday, the April Guard treatments are over with. I'll be taking off my 2-inch shims and taking the cards off if they're not destroyed by the bees.
Yep.
And probably, what's today? Today's Monday. So probably Wednesday, I'll probably be going out there Wednesday checking feed, quart jars if I get the chance. And that kind of stuff, but like I say, I'm already thinking about what I'm going to do for the next week, where other folks are like, well, when I get around to it, or I just didn't have time, or whatever, I mean, there's valid reasons, I'm sure. I mean, especially if you have kids, you got, they want to go to, I don't know, to after school sports or something like that. So anyway, that's why we're beekeepers and we're here tonight, because it's like Brian there. Brian took the 14-hour initiative to go to Corey Stevens to learn Carbo.
Yeah.
And try to get the rest of his crowd and his club to do all that would be, just ain't going to do it. They're not. So
Charlie, this year for you, big learnings, queen rearing and Apigard. What's next year for you? What are you going to learn next year?
I'm going to
start asking questions now.
I'm going to in the queen. I mean, I've done queens in the past. I hadn't done queens for about 3 years. Mm-hmm. In the past, I got lucky on setting up a cell builder. Now I really know how to set up a cell builder, and I understand what it takes to maintenance that cell builder. And I also have different ways of, about letting cells hatch either in the incubator, hatch in the cell builder, let the bees feed them. Now the next thing is to tweak my mating boxes, get them established earlier. So yeah, you got to have those established in order to drop a queen cell in. And the way I was doing it this year, I put the queen cells in the mating or cell builder, and it gave me more time to do things and all. And I tried the virgin method. I tried it where you walked her in. I tried it where you put her in a candy cage along with attendants, without attendants. And it's just like the video I put out, that one that I found the queen. She should have been marked. That was a queen that I had put in a candy cage with attendants. So they obviously got rid of her and they made their own queen. Or they had made their own queen before I put my queen in there. So it didn't, the requeening didn't work. So now I'm like, okay, talking to some commercial guys, let's go back to putting cells into the mating boxes and let them hatch out naturally to maybe have a 90% success rate. And that means I need to get busy establishing those 2-frame mating boxes earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Before those cells, if the cells are going to hatch on, let's say, a Monday, I need to have them cells in that box on a Sunday at the latest, or maybe a Saturday afternoon and all that. There's Jerome Bee Farm. Hey, guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, he got a few of Ryan's queens
Mm-hmm.
out there, and he had some issues with them.
Yeah, I want to try doing my second round of splits with cells that Charlie raises next year. Is what I'm hoping can come together.
Yeah, so I mean that's the thing. It I'll fine tune. I'll keep fine tuning the queen thing. It takes several years to finally kind of develop what works for you or what the groove is. I would say.
Yeah. So the one guy we drove to Missouri with, I kind of sort of know him, but really got to know him on this trip. He's a retired physician. He's a patron of Corey's, so he knew Corey a little bit already. He's fairly well off, and he kind of does it as a hobby. But he runs about 30 colonies, and he's got all of his colonies spread out in his kind of rich neighborhood in Denver, like onesie twosie backyard kind of stuff. And he was telling us every yard he has in the spring, he runs like two of those little mini mating nukes, and that's how he runs his queens all season long. So he was
Yep.
telling us about how finicky they can be and how like what he likes about them and what he doesn't like about them, and the fact that like for an urban beekeeper tucking them away between all these little bushes, I just loved his strategy. It so worked for what he was doing. And kind of like you, Will, I was trying to talk him into like, so you're going to be our queen rearing guy, right, Eric? You can make a whole bunch of cells for me and Matt, and then we can drop him into our spring splits. Because that's part of my problem is when I get to April, I can't do it all. So I end up just doing kind of like walk away splits. But if I can have someone who's already thinking about VSH genetics and he's bending Corey's ear about like, what do I do about going treatment free? I feel like I can do that. How should I go about doing it? A lot of great conversations around false positives as well. And I keep telling Eric, like, we live in this huge Denver metro area. You're not going to have false positive. You have so many bees around you that aren't managed in bee trees in the Denver area or poorly managed by beekeepers that can just easily buy bees and not really manage them. So um, that was another cool thing is maybe making that connection of someone else that might be able, because I can't buy queen cells. There's no one around here making queen cells, and I'd love to be able to do that. Buy
Yeah,
the
it's
right
like
genetics.
I was telling Will there when it comes to making cells, I can make anywhere from 15 to 20 plus cells a week.
Yeah,
Trying to get mated queens, you know, my experience down south where they got well, most all their boxes down there hold two queens, and they're like a small. I don't know. They're about the half size of a deep box, and but they'll have 1,000 boxes out there.
right.
You
Yeah.
know, they got 1,000 boxes equal 2,000 queens possibility. Not everyone gets mated, but the majority do, and they're and these when you you couldn't find these places if you tried. You had to know where these places are at because down there you're in pine country down there where they're making telephone poles and they're planting uh, tree farms. You know where everything's in a line, and then they strip the bottom branches. You know, and they do certain things over a period of years. And they got these here boxes. Well, you drive in this little wooden or dirt road back in there, and then here's these little boxes all through this darn pine forest, and they'll put in 5 or 6 drone hives back there for these bees to mate with and stuff like that. And I don't have that kind of room, or I don't have that kind of time to fool with that stuff and all. So like Will wants cells. The problem I had with cells when I first started this was they'll come back to you. Well, there wasn't the bee didn't, the there was no queen or didn't hatch or do something like that, and that can happen. I watched one of my own videos. I'm like, them cells are not going to hatch because I just dropped them a little bit like that. A couple, where I was pulling them big old hair roller cages out. And it was picking up that cage and dropping it at a little bit of a smack like that. Drop those larvae right out of that jelly. They were done.
Yep.
Yeah.
I lost 10 or 15 queens right there because of that one minute mistake.
Yep.
So that's why I quit selling cells, and I would go with virgins because I said, see, here's the queen. It's alive. It's yours.
Yep.
You
If
know,
it dies, it's your fault.
right. And the cells travel well. Well, what I used to do is I would take a drink cup and then put some tissue paper or some paper towel, actually, and I'd put the cell in that paper towel, and I say, "Here's your queen." And I had got a text. I told the guy, I said, "Now look, you're coming today. This thing is going to hatch out today, within so many hours, thereabouts."
Yep.
Well, then I got a text about 20 minutes later. She just came out of the cocoon into that cup. What am I going to do now? I said, just, cage her, which she did. I said, take her to the hive and let her walk. I said that the hive's been queenless for a week or whatever, right? Yeah. No cells, no nothing. Yeah. Totally queenless hive. I just walk her on in. That's all you can do.
Yep.
But I bet you'd feel more comfortable selling cells to someone like Will who knows what he's doing as opposed to the newer beekeeper where it's the half an hour education.
Yeah. And that's a problem. And Brian, it's like when I was selling nukes, it was we talked about this before. You got to give them a quick down and dirty lesson on how to install a nuke. And now I got to give them queen or virgins, and it's the same damn thing. It's like, and I blame it on the clubs. It's just they won't teach nothing like that. I don't know whether the people will even listen or remember if they do teach it.
Yeah, my thing is, you can only do so many things. You can only spread yourself in so many different directions. And the queen side of things, I think it's super cool, but I'm trying to do other stuff between honey and splits and making bees that I just can't. I can't take a third piece on right now with the queen side of it.
Well, that's why I didn't do queens for 3 years, because I found it just got to the point for those first 3 years. I had issues of making a cell builder, of course, but I ran out of time trying to maintain my nukes and make sure that they're either building up to sell or after I sold them to rebuild them and everything for the next year. And then the honey production on top of that. So then in the last year or so, I said, okay, I want to downsize from close to 40 hives down to 25. And I got rid of the nukes. I got rid of all that stress. And now I got the honey production. And here to me, queen rearing is fun. It's a game that I can play between me and the bees. Who wins? Am I good enough that I'll get 28 out of 30 cells and I'll be the winner? Or am I going to be the loser to where I made like I said, that one little dummy mistake and my 28 cells just turned into about 10 because of me. Or, grafting. I got my grafting down pretty darn good and all that. So, it's like grafting. It's like riding a bicycle. Once you get into it, it's like some of the things that Kent Williams said. He's the one that taught me how to do it. Like the one with the thumbnail, where you take the tool and you go down on the thumbnail. Well, does it tongue on that tool bend real easy? If it does, that's just right. If it doesn't, you got to thin it down. And then, like he was stating in that one video, which after listening, I said, yeah, I remember that, but I forgot it. When I was down at Bill's trying to teach people had a graph that had one guy down there. He had a loop on his eye and an eye loop. And I'm like, how are you going to do that with squinting the eye? I said, that just don't work. And it's like, I think what most of the new ones are trying to do, they were trying to see the tongue of the Chinese tool pick the larvae up with the jelly. And it was like, Kent says, no, treat the Chinese tool as a dart. And you just slide it down the side until when it goes across, you can see way, if it's kind of like a banana or a C, you want to come in behind on the backside of that C with that tool. Just go in blindly until where you bump up against the other wall and then pick it straight up and then look at it. Do I have it? Yes. There they are, you know. And it's those little teeny things that you have to kind of learn. And hopefully I can remember to tell people that kind of stuff. And then they get the gist of it. Yeah, but like you're saying, Brian, I can give cells to Will. He knows what to do with them, and he knows to put them in right away.
Yep.
Or like the customer when I was selling cells, well, I'll put it in tomorrow, and I'm like, they just come out of 93-degree incubator here. They're supposed to be kept at 93 degrees, and you're gonna let them lay on your kitchen table and you expect this thing to be alive? I'm like, no. It's like, I just shake my head.
Yeah, Mark Miller it's
Yeah,
the
that's a
great
great-
analogy about queen rearing. It's like running a trap line or a trot line. You never know what you get until you get to the end.
True, and that's like what was it? Jerome was talking about hopelessly queenless. You think you got it, but you don't.
Yeah.
And it's true. He's true. It's right on. You
Yeah.
think you got everything prepped just right for this here virgin,
Yeah.
and still there's a pitfall there.
Yes, there is. There's a huge pitfall there.
Sometimes she mates and sometimes she doesn't.
Sometimes she doesn't. Sometimes she gets eaten before she gets back.
Yeah, that too. Or the bees in the hive will kill her because you didn't see, let's say, maybe there's a young virgin already in there, or maybe there was a cell someplace.
Yeah, you're right.
Clay says it's called bees, Charlie.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
called bees.
Yeah. Well,
it's after 10 o'clock. It's almost quarter after. So we've had a couple good discussions going on tonight. If y'all enjoyed it, smash that like button. And if you didn't, well, that's okay too.
well, let me answer DC. DC, I was selling virgins for 25, and most mated queens around here are going for 40.
Yep.
And when I started, mated queens were 25.
Yeah. So if you haven't subscribed yet, but I think most everybody on here has, but if you haven't, please subscribe, and it keeps us all hanging around a little bit longer. And we will see you Friday night on Charlie's Chat. And y'all have a good week. It's going to be a good week for beekeeping. Good night.
Good night, guys.
See ya.
Right all.